The storm outside the glass walls of the Cross Dynamics headquarters had not ceased for hours. Sheets of rain blurred the New York skyline, the lights of the city glowing in streaks of gold and blue through the haze. Inside, the office floor was silent except for the hum of computers and the faint rhythm of thunder. Isabella Hart sat at her desk, her fingers trembling slightly over the keyboard as she reread the email draft on her screen. The subject line read, "Resignation Notice." She'd written it 3 times that week and deleted it every single time. Because no matter how much she told herself she needed to walk away, one look from Ethan Cross, her boss, the man whose name adorned the building, shattered every ounce of resolve she had. Ethan Cross wasn't just a CEO. He was power wrapped in control, a storm contained behind sharp grey eyes and a tailored charcoal suit. He had built his empire from nothing, turning a modest tech firm into one of the world's most formidable corporations. To everyone else, he was composed, brilliant, and cold. To Isabella, he was danger, and the one man she couldn't stop loving. She hit save draft instead of send. Again. The elevator chimed across the room, breaking her thoughts. She looked up, and there he was, Ethan, stepping out, his coat damp from the rain, tie loosened, his usual perfection slightly unraveled. That alone made her heart trip over itself. "You're still here," he said, his deep voice echoing softly through the empty office. "It's past 10. I wanted to finish the quarterly report," she replied quickly, eyes fixed on her screen. He walked closer, the sound of his footsteps slow and deliberate. "That report was due next week. I like to stay ahead." "Or you like to avoid me," he said, and her breath caught. When she looked up, he was standing a few feet away, his gaze locked on her with that quiet, unrelenting intensity that always made her forget how to breathe. "I'm not avoiding you," she lied, voice barely a whisper. He studied her for a moment, the faintest smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Then why haven't you looked me in the eye in 3 days?" She swallowed hard. "You're imagining things." "Am I?" he said, stepping closer until the faint scent of his cologne, cedarwood and rain, filled her senses. Her pulse quickened. She stood abruptly, gathering her papers. "I should go." But before she could take a step, he said quietly, "Isabella." It wasn't just her name, it was the way he said it. Rough, weighted, like it meant something he couldn't say aloud. She froze. Ethan's hand came up, not to touch her, but to rest on the desk, his knuckles brushing against the folder she held. "Tell me why you're leaving," he said softly. Her breath hitched. "Who said I'm leaving?" "I saw the draft." His tone was calm, but his jaw tightened. "Do you really think anything that happens on this floor escapes me?" She closed her eyes, the truth pressing against her ribs. "Because I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I can't keep pretending we're just colleagues." Silence filled the air, heavy, thick, unrelenting. When she finally looked at him, his expression had softened. For once, the walls he kept around himself cracked just enough for her to see the man underneath, tired, lonely, afraid. "You think it's easy for me," he said, voice low, almost broken. "You think I don't fight it every damn day." She shook her head, her vision blurring with unshed tears. "Then why do you keep me here, Ethan? Why keep torturing both of us?" He exhaled, a sound of frustration and longing all at once. "Because letting you go would destroy me." The words hung in the air like static electricity, charged and fragile. "I can't," she whispered, stepping back. "It's not fair to either of us. You're my boss. You have a company to run. And I." He interrupted her by slamming his palm gently on the desk, not in anger, but desperation. "Do you really think I care about titles right now? About how it looks?" Her lips trembled. "You should." "I've cared about appearances my whole life," he said, taking a step closer. "I built this company to prove I could control everything, every number, every decision, every risk. But then you walked in, and suddenly control meant nothing." Isabella's throat tightened. "Ethan." He stopped, just a breath away from her. "You make me want things I swore I'd never want again." Her eyes met his. For the first time, she saw the truth she'd always feared, that his feelings were real, and that terrified her even more. "Then you know why I have to leave," she said quietly. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "If that's what you really want." She turned to leave, clutching her bag tightly. But just as she reached the elevator, his voice broke through the silence again. "Isabella." She stopped. "I won't chase you," he said, his voice rough. "But I won't forget you either." The doors closed before she could respond. 2 weeks passed. Isabella found a small apartment in Brooklyn, a modest space overlooking the street below. She tried to move on, to forget the way his voice had sounded that night. She took freelance work, met friends for coffee, and told herself she'd done the right thing. But every night, she'd find herself looking at the skyline, wondering if he was still awake in that office, staring at the same rain-soaked city. Then one evening, as she walked home through the drizzle, her phone buzzed. A single message lit the screen. "I can't let go. E." Her heart stopped. She tried to tell herself not to respond, but her fingers trembled. Before she could decide, another message came. "I'm downstairs." She turned slowly, and there he was. Ethan, standing across the street in the rain, no umbrella, his suit soaked, his eyes locked on hers with that same unspoken ache. When she crossed to him, words failed them both. The world around them blurred, cars, lights, rain, everything fell away. He finally spoke, voice raw and quiet. "I thought I could let you go. I was wrong." Tears filled her eyes. "Ethan, this." "I don't care," he said, his hand brushing her cheek. "You can hate me for it later, but I had to see you. Just once more." She stared at him, her heart breaking and mending all at once. "What are we doing?" "Something reckless," he said, his lips curling into the faintest smile. "Something real." And in that rain-soaked street, surrounded by the city that had built and broken them both, they stopped pretending. For once, the line they'd drawn between them disappeared, fragile, fleeting, but unforgettable. Because sometimes love isn't about what's safe. It's about what you can't let go of, no matter how dangerous it feels.